Hello, beautiful bestie, and welcome back to the Because I Love You podcast. I'm Bria Jones. I'm not used to saying my first and last name. But anyways, you guys, first of all, I just want to say this. I fully recognize that you absolutely do not have to follow me through the phases of my life. And I just wanted to say thank you to those of you that are here for every phase and every journey of life. I know this is like super cheesy and sappy, but no, I seriously mean it. I feel like my place online has always just been to be incredibly transparent with you guys and go through the phases of my life and just share my life. And so obviously this one has been special because it's very pregnancy oriented, baby related. And I know that is not everybody's cup of tea. And I want you to know that I really am doing my best to, one, be authentic and share the special moments. Like, I'm not going to apologize for that, but I also am doing my best to figure out how to make this part of my life relatable to a lot of you. People can be a little bit sensitive about pregnancy, and I have to say, a majority of you have been so kind, nice, and just, I'm really thankful for the energy around this new phase in my life. But of course, there's also people who have expectations of not just me, I'm going to just say creators in general, that we have to be one thing. And I just want to make sure it's clear that I'm not doing that. I'm allowed to share new things, and I just hope that that's cool with you. But it's okay if it's not. I just wanted to say thank you, though, if you're sticking around for these cool transitions and these moments in my life, because you definitely don't have to, but it means a lot. But like, I'm not apologizing for being pregnant, okay? Let's be very clear. This is more of a gratitude statement, just saying you the best. And I'm so glad you're here. But I was really excited for this episode because yes, it's pregnancy related, but I also feel like it's going to be relatable whether you are having kids right now, whether you plan to have kids, whatever the case may be. This is for the girls who want kids or maybe thinking about it in the future, have like whatever phase you are in life. I really think that this will resonate with you. I refused to get pregnant before I completed my pre-pregnancy checklist. I don't know what to call it. It's like a pre-pregnancy bucket list checklist, but I had non-negotiables that I had to complete before I was pregnant. Okay. It was important to me to make sure that I had done enough fulfilling things in my life, because I understand that when you have a kid, it's about them. It's not really about you. And I never wanted to be in a place of, man, I wish I did this or I wish I did that. I also think I avoided pregnancy like the plague. I think a lot of people close to my age did, because we had teen mom scared the shit out of us. We also had the worst sexual education perhaps ever. I don't know about you guys, but when I was in school and I was learning about pregnancy, it was like, don't have sex. That was the moral of the story. Okay. And I'm going to be honest with you. So I went to a high school and it was pretty normal to see pregnant girls at my high school. In fact, we had an entire hallway for pregnant teenagers. I just found that normal that we had an area in our high school for pregnant teenagers because I went to a big high school, and I'm assuming it just wasn't safe for them to be wandering the entire school because the hallways were like really crowded during passing periods, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, we were used to seeing it. However, I think we were either like mortified of becoming pregnant or did not have enough information at all, because telling someone to not have sex, to not get pregnant is just not realistic. And then you're stuck as a teenager fighting the horn monster and trying to navigate these feelings, but you don't know how to do it safely because you really haven't been given the tools, the conversations, and a safe place to really discuss what it's like being a horny teenager and being sexually active. Because like, let's be real, a lot of teenagers are sexually active, okay? So I do think just like by witnessing a lot of teenagers get pregnant in high school, watching Teen Mom growing up, yeah, it wasn't hard for me to avoid teen pregnancy. And I feel like I avoided teen pregnancy a little too long and a little too hard, because teen pregnancy is still like, I am still a teen mother. I didn't avoid it. I am a teen mom. I am a 17-year-old, 30-year-old. Okay. I stand by that. I don't feel like I'm qualified to be anybody's mother. I look around at my friends and colleagues my age. There ain't no way we're the new adults, but we are. And it's kind of hard to conceptualize. Still, to this day, it is hard to not be fearful of pregnancy. And I feel like a lot of people my age in their 20s, 30s can resonate with being like still very fearful of pregnancy. We just still feel like teenagers. I don't know why. So anyways, I obviously knew at some point in my life I wanted to have kids. I'll be 31 when I have my first kid, which I thought I was going to be 30. So it's crazy to say that out loud, but I don't regret at all waiting to have my first kid until I got to my 30s, because my 20s have been the best experience of my life. I feel like every year of my 20s was like a decade of growth. And that's why I think it's so important to remind people there is no rush. There is literally an invisible clock making you feel like you need to expedite matters. And let me say this, okay? I went to a Bible Belt school, PWI, Arkansas, Woo Pig Suey. Okay. I went to a very Southern school where it's really common that you will go to your chapter meeting and you'll do a little fun ceremony because another one of your sisters has gotten engaged at the ripe age of 20 or 19. Dare I say it? It happens. And then they are having their first kids in their early 20s before they've had their first drink. Listen, I didn't know that was a thing till I went to Arkansas, and I was like, yo, I am going to be a prune by the time I have kids then, because what is this? And I want to be careful. I'm not being judgmental by any means, but I will say that getting married super young and having kids thereafter, I think can lead to this delayed sense of not knowing who you are. And that's not a problem. It's just some of us didn't do that, right? So we had our 20s so we could figure out who we were. We could make the mistakes. The thing is, I honestly feel like there has to be more conversations around the fact that your brain isn't even fully developed until you're 25. So why would I ever marry someone before 25? No shade, no tea. Marriages can work if you go sooner, but let's be real. The chances are slim. Let's be honest. It would take a lot of work to maintain a relationship that you started at such a young age, because you inevitably are going to change so much. And I want to be very careful and reiterate here that this is not a judgmental conversation. If this sounds like you or was you, this is for my girlies who may be in a space of thinking that this is what you have to do. I just want to be big sister B for a second and remind you that you have options, and it's totally okay to be in a long-term relationship. You don't have to get married. If you think you've found the one, you don't have to get married at 21 years old. Both of you are going to change so much in your 20s that it would be totally worth just staying together and seeing if you still fuck with each other by like 27, and then take it from there. Why rush it? Okay. If they're really in it for you, there's no reason to have to push this narrative that everything has to be done so quickly. I don't know. I just want to remind you that it's an option. Now, you do whatever the hell you want, but I'm also going to tell you this. As someone who went to a Bible Belt Southern ass school where I saw many girls getting married at 21, 22 years old, having 3 kids before they were 25 or 26, a lot of them are on their first or second divorces. Let's keep it real, okay? So yes, you can do those things, but just deeply consider that your brain, and especially that man's brain, is not developed fully until 25 years old. So maybe pause all contracts until then. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But anyways, I knew I wasn't going to be that girl. So I really thought it was important to create an intentional plan of everything I want to do before I have kids. And that's what I want to share with you today. I am not saying this needs to be your list. I'm hoping this is more to inspire you to make your own list of things that you want to do before you have kids, or whatever. I also have things in my list that kind of helped to make the process of trying to conceive fun. So we'll get into that as well. But listen, if you're a mom already, I would love to know in the comments, if you don't mind sharing, for our younger girls or for anyone who just hasn't had kids yet, what's something that now that you're a mother, you wish you might have done before having kids? I'm curious to know. Of course, like you can try to think of everything you want to do, but like until you have kids, there's always going to be something you miss, right? So I'd love to hear from you guys because you guys know better than me. So as some of you know, my husband AJ and I are moving into a new house and I was devastated. We had to get rid of a good portion of our cookware that was falling apart and in general, just not great quality. So we ended up upgrading to Caraway, and you guys, I could not be more excited to get in the kitchen in this new house. And it's honestly perfect timing because I really want to get in my homemaker era and throw down this holiday season, and now I have the tools to do it. Caraway's cookware is a great investment because not only is every piece beautiful, but you're getting cookware that's made with non-toxic products and it's designed for easy cooking and cleaning. Caraway's internet famous cookware set comes with the saute pan, fry pan, Dutch oven, and saucepan, plus the lids for all of them, a canvas lid holder, and magnetic pan rack for storage. It's the ultimate kitchen setup and will save you $150 versus buying the items individually. You can visit carawayhome.com/BCILY to see all of your favorite products and take an additional 10% off your next purchase. This deal is exclusive for our listeners, so visit carawayhome.com/BCILY or use code BCILY at checkout. Caraway, non-toxic cookware made modern. Let's pull up this list here. So I'm obviously married. Okay. I've been married for a minute now, and we got married in 2021. It's almost our anniversary literally next week. That's so funny. But I really wanted to be married for at least 2 years before we decided to have kids. My reasons for that were, I know that adding the layer of marriage to a relationship does change it. Luckily, I feel like AJ and I didn't really feel a lot of different changes after we got married because we did live together before marriage. We were fornicators and sinners, and like there wasn't really a shift in how we cohabitate together. It was more so just going through life and even more milestones together, like getting our first car together, moving to a different state together, navigating like really big changes together. And I think that it's important to go through those really big changes before having the biggest change of all together, which is a whole baby. Like you will never have a bigger change than having a child together. So it's nice to kind of go through what I would say smaller challenges, of course, and learn more about each other. We learn more about each other every single day, let's be real, but going through those milestones really helps us grow closer, figure out like how we butt heads, how to have conflict resolution. Like it just makes us better partners so that when there's a child thrown into the mix, obviously that's going to have an effect on our relationship, let's be real. But I can say confidently that I think we're bringing a child into a situation that has a strong foundation. And I feel like that is not only the best option for us, but for this child. Like that's one of the best things we can do for them is to try to bring them into the most stable environment possible. So I felt like 2 years was a good number because I don't know, you always hear people say like date somebody for at least 2 years before you marry them. You know, you can't hide your real personality for 2 years. Like it's gonna slip out of the cracks a little bit. So same thing there. We've gone through quite a few challenges and changes and wins and so many different transitions together in the last few years to the point where I feel like it's put us in a really good place. And I'm not saying that's like easy because that means like you go through good and bad things together, but it makes you better in the end to bring a child into the world together. So this one was kind of more of a shock to me. This is going to depend on your age, like a lot of different factors, but if you know that you want to have kids, I would at least have a conversation with your OB, your gynecologist, whoever, because, you know, in my situation, it ended up being a little more complicated as it relates to birth control. So I had spent years off and on birth control through high school, college, post-college. I was more so on and off of it. And the most recent pill that I was on like fucked me up. And it is the reason I will never take birth control. It's like my personal decision. I'm never going to tell you not to take it, but I will tell you that it gave me a lot of problems. And when I came off of the birth control, my hormones were fucked for 2 years. 2 years. And normally, they'll say, okay, your period should be back to normal like in a few months. I didn't get a normal period for like over a year. I also know that I just did not feel like myself for a very long time. I say that to say this: give yourself time to detox off of birth control. I just don't believe this narrative that people bounce back so quickly. That was not my reality at all. It took me 2 years, maybe a little longer, to fully feel like myself again. And the proof is literally all over my YouTube channel, how much effort I had to put into that. That consisted of changing my diet, working on a holistic front, working with naturopathic doctors, trying to take a more natural route. That also meant doing a lot of other things like therapy and getting medicated for other issues that I had. But birth control was the catalyst to all of this other stuff bubbling up to the surface. And my body was not happy with it, especially when my body came off of it. Now, to be clear, I felt like shit on and off that pill. But what I can tell you is I had none of these issues until this particular birth control came into my life. So let me give you a little context here. The birth control pill that I was on took away my period. This was the first time in my life I did a pill like that. I had never done a birth control where my period completely went away. I had only done pills where I had a period and it would just be really light. But with this one, I just didn't have it at all because I had PMDD and I was like trying to avoid having PMDD symptoms. So I was just like, take the period away. Anyways, when I came off the pill, it was like my body was still trying to mimic the pill. It was like, oh wait, you didn't want to have a period. So we did all this stuff in your body so you don't have a period. But now the pill is gone and we're still trying to mimic that. So my body for literally a year and a half was still mimicking the pill and I wasn't on the birth control anymore. It was the most bizarre thing. And I'm like, how do I get my period back? So that was a journey in itself. But I will say I'm fortunate because I wasn't trying to come off the pill and immediately become pregnant. I was trying to come off the pill and become sane because I felt absolutely crazy on that birth control pill. I was actually psychotic. It was a little bit scary. And I feel like some women might be like, oh, my body's going to just like bounce back, go back to normal. And then you're so confused, like why you might be having issues. I just wish that there was more of a conversation around how we're all different. Our bodies are all different and that detox process might be different. So my point is give yourself time to detox from the pill. Like if you've been on something for 10 years, plus since high school, a lot of us got on the pill like really young. What the heck? It makes sense that our bodies would be a little confused and not immediately like everyone can just go back to the baseline, right? So I don't know, talk to your doctor about it, but that really helped me to feel like, okay, I need to pace myself with this whole journey of wanting a kid and really give myself time to feel like myself before I just try to get pregnant, because that was not it. Whatever happened when I came off that birth control pill was not the vibe. Another non-negotiable that I had before getting pregnant was I had to leave the country. Not just me, but I had to leave the country with my husband at some point. So a lot of you saw that we went to Portugal in May of this year. That was literally the last check on the box. And I was like, okay, like it's free game now. So of course we did not share that at the time, but I feel like there must have been something in the air because the amount of people who were like messaging me like, are you like pregnant? Are you hiding something? Like, I was like, no, I'm really not. Like people were sensing a baby before I was even pregnant, right? And I was drinking like a sailor when I was in Portugal because I discovered port wine and it was the best discovery ever. It literally tastes like grape juice, but it's like 20% alcohol. So it's basically like taking a shot. I would just drink those all day with no hangover because everything is so not processed over there. I don't know why, but I wouldn't have a hangover. I would start drinking at 11 every day, my port wine of the day, and I'd have like 3 of them a day, and I'd be just perfectly lightly toasted all day. And so I was kind of like showing that I was in my drinking era in Portugal, and everyone thought that I was covering up a pregnancy because I don't drink that much usually. And when I went to Portugal, I was drinking like I had a problem. I was just on vacation, babe. And nobody believed me. So they were like, are you hiding something? Like, you're joking. You are not drinking this much. I'm like, no, girl, I really am drunk at 11 a.m. Yeah, but that was kind of the trip to do it because I knew like, well, bitch, I'm about to try to get pregnant and I ain't gonna be able to have a drink for a long ass time. Okay, so we might as well live it up. Cheers. The second I knew that I wanted to be pregnant, like when I knew it was the year of pregnancy, that's how I'll say it. I knew 2024 was hopefully going to be my year of pregnancy. So I started taking a prenatal like at the beginning of the year, just because I didn't know when we were officially going to start trying to have a baby. I just knew we were going to start. And I think it's recommended that if you know you want to get pregnant, to start taking a prenatal like 3 months out so that it's really in your system. So yeah, I think I started in like January and I was just taking my prenatals every single day for the babes. And then when we knew we were ready, it had been in my system for literally like 6 months or so. So yeah, and I'm really glad that I did that because like 6 weeks into being pregnant, I was so sick, I couldn't even hold my prenatals down and I hadn't been taking them. So argue with your mother. My OB said it's fine. But yeah, start your prenatal. Just start it. It ain't gonna hurt. It's just some extra vitamins. And on that note of, taking care of your body, another thing on my checklist was to get my body to a healthy set point. I don't have information on like which direction to go. All I'll say is that it was really important for me to get to a healthy weight, body fat area. There was a point where I had put on a few more pounds than I would like. It wasn't a comfortable set point for me. And I felt like I was healthier at a different place. So I had spent time working on that. And I will say, be careful because I don't know, there's like, people say they start taking like Ozempic and then they get pregnant. Like, be careful because there's some weird pattern about getting snatched and then getting pregnant. And I think it has nothing to do with just like looks physically. I don't know. Be careful. As soon as your waistline is wasting and you're like, oh yes, snatch, hourglass, some Peter Piper penis comes and is like, get that girl pregnant, ruin it all. Yeah, basically. Like the second I got to my goal, I was pregnant. But that could mean maybe you want to gain weight. Maybe you would feel better at a higher body fat percentage. Again, you should talk to your doctor about it. I talked to mine about it. We knew where my healthy was and that's where I worked towards. And I think it worked out fabulous for us because like I told you guys, we had a very quick conception, but I spent a lot of time on my health prior to that. So I think that kind of played into the quickness. This is definitely an opinion, okay? But I will say personally, it was important for me to have space for little beebs. You can absolutely have kids in any environment, any situation, as long as they are safe, right? However, for me, I'll give you my thought process. Like, we live in a 2-bedroom apartment right now. We're literally about to move into our house, but we outgrew it. We outgrew this a while ago. And it's really because of like the fact that we both work from home. I literally have studio equipment in here. The only spare bedroom we have is covered in studio equipment, PR. It would just be stressful to bring someone else into this environment. So I knew that wasn't something I wanted to deal with when I was pregnant. When we did close on the house, or when we found the house, I felt comfortable enough to start trying to have a kid because I knew, okay, this baby will have space. This baby will have its own room. I feel good about that. And of course, like I said, that's just what I wanted. It doesn't have to be something that you do. But the less stress you can have, the better. And that was a huge stressor for me. I always feel claustrophobic in here as it is. So I'm very excited to be moving into something with a little more space. And yeah, it was a major thing for me. So we're very fortunate to be able to move into something where we have some more wiggle room. Now, getting more into like the conception side of things, like the pre getting pregnant, but we still have things we want to do. So here's the thing. When you're trying to have a baby, it can get a little bit medical really quickly, right? It depends how you go about it. Like some people don't time their ovulation. They're not really like set on a certain time to get pregnant or whatever. They're just having fun, raw dogging. Love that for you and honestly recommend that for you because it's probably going to be less on your mental. And so much of conceiving is mental, okay? However, what I think was fun during my trying to conceive process was we would always plan something like really fun around it. So there's like maybe a trip we were on, or maybe we had something planned like fun that we were doing that night. We were going out with friends, family, like we had some type of event planned so that our minds were like focused on having fun and not like, oh, like today we need to do this. I highly recommend, if you can, plan something fun, have friends over, like do a fun little themed night, like do a board night where everyone brings like a different charcuterie board, like do a s'mores board, do a cheese board. Like you guys do something fun. You don't have to go out of the state, out of the country to have fun. But if it falls in your ovulation window, well, cheers. I don't think this baby was conceived in Texas, okay? Yeah. So have fun. Like seriously, just have so much fun. I mean, sex is fun. It should be fun. Like why are we taking it seriously, guys? Like calm down. Meet Aria, your go-to guide for all things sex and intimacy. Aria takes away the mental load of figuring out how to spice things up by doing the work for you and sending you everything you need. Aria makes it easy for couples to break out of routine, deepen emotional connection, and energize their relationship with curated experiences called scenes. Every piece of the scene experience is designed to be interacted with and shared. Just take a quick quiz about your relationship, and Aria's concierge will send you everything you need to explore something new every month. You'll get expert insights, step-by-step guidance, and a box of high-end goodies delivered right to your door. Aria takes care of the details so you can focus on each other. It's easy to get started with a fun, private quiz to understand you as a couple. Use what's in the box to think outside of the box. Visit arya.fyi and use code BCILY for 15% off today. This is kind of still in the line of having fun with it, but I talked about this a little in the gender reveal episode, how AJ and I were like delusional manifestors when it came to this baby. We were parents in our mind before we even tried, okay? I have been holding my stomach for over a year. I would go up to AJ and be like, say hello to your child. Like I wasn't pregnant, okay? And I had, I gave context around like why that is. I grew up watching my parents kind of do something similar after a very sad incident where my mother miscarried. But for me, I always was just like, oh, like I didn't think about it. I was just like having fun, okay? We love to talk about our ideas and our dreams and our goals for having kids. Like even that is fun. And sometimes just those conversations alone can be very healthy and just get you in a good mental place to conceive and like be ready for a baby. But we would always kind of like talk about those things and it got us excited. And then we would obviously delusionally manifest, play around. We literally bought monogrammed. Okay, this is crazy. I know. We bought monogrammed clothes for the baby with their name on it before we were pregnant. Yeah. I didn't even know. And by the way, the name was like a name we wanted for a boy, particularly. I didn't know if this one was going to be a boy, but I was like, well, one day I might have a boy and I'm just going to put it somewhere safe. And when I have that boy, we will use it. We got a bib made in Portugal for the baby. Before we even tried to have one. I was not pregnant. So again, but it was fun. Like we went to this little shop. It literally looked like somewhere a grandmother was like making gingerbread houses. It didn't even look like a real shop. It was like a Christmas shop. And she like hand stitched this bib for us. It was just a fun experience. And it's just like, don't take yourself so seriously if you don't have to. Like we really leaned into that fun aspect. And so I'm really glad that we did that. But again, this was all pre-pregnancy. Like we were just having fun. It's also funny because part of my delusional manifesting pre-pregnancy, like was more conversational sometimes. I would always do this thing like every holiday because I had a feeling I would be pregnant this year at some point. So last year I started doing this thing where I would be like, oh my God, AJ is so sad. This is our last Christmas together, just us. Just us. This is our last Valentine's Day, just us. This is our last St. Patrick's Day, just us. So that was like a little inside joke that we had where every holiday I had to like make it a point to be like, enjoy this because there's gonna be 4 of us next year. I'm including Bubby. Don't start a rumor. Me, AJ, Bubby, baby. Yeah, so just have some fun, okay? I will say this is probably the most important of everything before you try to have a baby, because I've literally had friends who have been like hysterical and they're pregnant and obviously need assistance, need help. Have a good OB that you love. Have a gynecologist who listens to you, who validates you. Oh my God, I cannot tell you how important that is. It is absolutely terrifying that there are doctors who are complete assholes. And I have witnessed it. My poor friends going through having to find a new OB when you should be like already getting your anatomy scan is horrifying. So I would say make a list of OBs that you like, or get recommendations from friends, look at reviews, literally go on Reddit. Like, it is a big deal. The person that brings your child into the world is kind of a big deal. So I don't take that lightly. I spent like almost 2 years getting the OB that I wanted because I had to sift through so much. And then like you add having to find the proper insurance and see if, they're covered. It can be a lengthy process. Make sure that's at the top of your list so you don't have to worry about that while you are pregnant, okay? That is probably the best advice I can give you because you deserve to have a doctor who hears you, okay, and validates you. That's like the bare minimum. So yeah, these were my pre-pregnancy checklist items and things that I just wanted to do and naturally did before I got pregnant. I think it's important to just, like I said, create a list of things you want to do before you have a baby. It'll just make you a happier individual. You won't have resentment, and you deserve to give yourself the things that you want before you have a baby too. So I just want to remind you of that. But I would love to know if you have anything on your pre-pregnancy checklist, or if you wish you added something to your pre-pregnancy checklist. Like I'm curious to hear that. I'm sure I have plenty of things that I wish I could have done, but I do feel really happy and really proud of where I was in life when I got pregnant. And I know that's obviously it's not realistic for everybody, but if you can, why not? You know what I'm saying? Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode. If you liked it, rate us 5 stars. Don't forget to follow the podcast. We also have Instagram and TikTok, you guys, and I would love if you could help us out because we're trying to get to 1,000 followers on TikTok because I Love You podcast. We're so close. We're at like 700 almost. And when we get to 1,000, we can add a link in bio so we can actually link our episodes. So help your girl out and hit us with a follow on TikTok if you down. But thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next week.